Podcast with Jensen Maydew, Tony Caranco, and your host, Wes Underwood.
And welcome into the Sports Timeout Podcast, brought to you by Jefferson's 75-cent boneless wings on Wednesdays, or my favorite, free fried pickle Fridays. You gotta get over there and get you some. And then, Robert's Integrative Dentistry in Joplin, ready for a whiter, straighter smile this year. Schedule your appointment today at 417-622-0404. And, we got myself, Wes Underwood, your host, Clint, Jensen, maybe Tony. But how y'all doing?
Great. Can't complain.
Yeah. I know it's 80 in Houston and it's like 60 here. And if I hear, I mean Joplin, Missouri.
Yeah.
And raining in LA. If anyone was wondering the weather of multiple destinations in America.
You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Soon we'll be talking about tornadoes. So
that's true.
But before we get further along, make sure you hit that subscribe and follow button on YouTube. And here we go. First up,
yes,
we'll go ahead and talk Super Bowl. And first off, we didn't have a show last week. I didn't feel right doing a show after everything that had happened because we were going to talk Super Bowl. We were going to do pretty much nothing but the Super Bowl last week. And then everything that happened. Thoughts and prayers go out to all those families in the community of Kansas City. I mean, everything has it's been a whirlwind over the last week, and I can only imagine in light of that. But, I mean.
Also shout out to Big Slick. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
Absolutely.
A lot of huge comedians have been doing this all year, every year. Sometimes it kind of just seems frivolous because you're thinking it's just, but then now it actually came to fruition that the Children's Mercy Hospital was a big component in like, basically none of the children have any repercussions after being. That's amazing news, and thanks to people like Will Forte and Jason Sudeikis and Paul Rudd, who set up this big slip event every year and saved up money, and it came to be.
Kansas City's always going to have an Avenger, but they do go above and beyond with that, and I love what they do, and it's been awesome to watch. Going to Royals games and then seeing them at the Chiefs games, it's great.
Yeah, and it gets bigger every year. Kelce was there this year.
Yeah. Next year we'll have Taylor Swift. So.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Actually, I bet you anything.
but
Super Bowl though.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and talk Super Bowl. I thought it was an evenly matched game. I mean, penalties were even, yardage was pretty even. Lack of production in the second half from the 49ers is pretty much what was critical in the game. I mean, the Chiefs defense stepped up and they took over like what they did all year. And even special teams. I mean, you had the fumble by CMC. Then you had the Pacheco fumble there in the first half. Okay, jitter's over. Mahomes gets picked later. And then in the third, you had the muff punt by San Fran, allowed Kansas City back in it. And then the blocked field goal, which I thought was huge. I think that was the turning point to get a minute and 50 left to go on the clock, and you get that block. I mean, wow. Overtime, you gave Mahomes the ball to end it. I'm not quite buying. We don't understand the rules of overtime. Like, they had 2 production meetings. Come on. Get over it. Move on. You guys lost twice in a row. But any additional thoughts here? I mean.
Oh, boy. I had tons. But what about you? Are you a Chiefs fan? I just realized.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, growing up in Kansas, you don't really get a choice.
Okay. I wasn't sure if but for me, it was. Like, I think it's one of those things where in the middle, like, it would be nice to have a blowout win.
Yeah.
but in the middle of the game, you're like, you got to be kidding me. We're doing this again when we're down at halftime and you're halfway paying attention to Usher because you're just thinking about the fact that you're down by a touchdown. But then afterwards, don't you kind of like it when it's like when we win a fun game, even though it stinks in the middle of it because you just want to win. But afterwards, it's like because so much more people are talking about it and like, what a fun game. And Mahomes is so great. Whereas if we would have won by like 30, it probably just been forgot about 3 days later. Because it's just like, well, Kansas City won again. That game sucked. So I always liked when the game, like, it really did feel like battle of, I think there's a couple mic'd up where they're saying like, this is like a battle of titans. Like, it really felt like we were getting everyone's best punch. It was for the second year in a row, Andy Reid had like a great second half game plan, or the team had a good second half game plan, which is Either that game plan this time was just make Nick Bosa dead tired by the fourth quarter that he couldn't get rushes anymore, which seemed like what happened.
Yep.
Because the crazy thing is that the main reason I don't necessarily blame the Niners for taking the ball first, even though everything says you should take it second because blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
main reason that is because the Chiefs didn't have one full length field touchdown the entire game. So there's really no reason to believe, unless you just think that like our defense is getting tired. There's really no reason to believe that they were going to score a touchdown easily. So you're thinking we kick a field goal, they kick a field goal, then we kick a field goal and win the game. I kind of get it, but you also have to like, I mean, not to sound like a basic sports guest here, but you have to put Mahomes into that effect. And that if he knows all I got to do is get a touchdown and we're Super Bowl champs, like there's going to be a next gear. Andy Reid's going to have his best plays out. And it's not just going to be, oh, I hope somebody's open and running around.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, it really did seem like both teams gave their best efforts. Maybe the first quarter, like the Niners had a little bit more energy.
Yeah.
Or not energy, but it did seem like the Chiefs were like kind of in, like it was almost like their players were so relaxed from last year that they kind of like, they weren't amped up enough. Like they were like, we don't have to be nervous because we're so cool about this. We were last year. And meanwhile, the Niners were like putting everything into it. But great. I mean, great for me. Great game because I do appreciate defense. But for most people, I'm sure it was just the fourth quarter and overtime were the best.
I bet a lot of people fell asleep.
No, I was thinking. I mean, that's me. I was like, I thought it was not gonna lie. I thought it was like a boring game until like the fourth quarter.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say mainly because of the punting. Like it wasn't like, or I should say punting and like kind of boring turnovers. I would say like those kind of weird fumbles are not like, oh, great play. It's kind of just like, oh, they fumbled. I guess they have the ball now. So if you're not a fan of either team, especially, it's probably just like, oh, gosh darn it, where's the touchdown? Like we're just gonna watch two guys fumble it. And wasn't near as bad as nothing will be as bad as the Patriots Rams game a couple of years ago. But it was looking that way where it's like, not only are we losing, but the game is boring. So it's going to be, if we lose and it's like the game was boring, it's going to really suck. But so I don't fault you though if you were like did you literally almost fall asleep?
Well, I mean, like I was out, but if I was at home, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. That'd be embarrassing. It's like on a bar stool. Really?
And the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Oh yeah, good job.
Huh? All right. Overtime. When did that happen? Yeah, how long you been out?
This happened like yesterday. They called the game and yeah,
it's like they're like opening the doors 8 a.m. By the way, are you the type that like watches everything afterwards? Like for me, half of the fun of winning a Super Bowl, for one, is the fact that it's like you get to spend the whole summer just enjoying the fact that you won a Super Bowl, as opposed to like.
Are you the Disneyland kid?
Well, I am.
You stick around there just to watch them go. I'm going to Disneyland.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wish I could go. If I was in LA, I would have like tried to see if Mahomes is there. He's always there. He's always dead tired, and his eyes are barely open, but he's there. But no, I was just gonna say, I'm the type of person that watches like, it's like we just won the Super Bowl. Okay, now I'm spending all of Monday just watching YouTube videos and podcasts about how great the Chiefs are. Yeah, because just that's the most fun part. Is like,
I was glad to have a snow day right after that too. So
yeah, it was a snow day. It was one of those weird snow days where it snowed and then was gone by like 2 o'clock. Anyways, back to the weather report. But yeah, that's just my favorite part of it. And I'm getting it all out now because that was not sure if you feel this way, but that felt like one of the more fun. Like nothing beats.
Just came out of my football coma, guys. I'm good now.
I kind of did. I was like especially since once I go back to California, there's not going to be a bunch of Chiefs, people. And if anything, it's probably the opposite. It's like, are you really a Chiefs fan?
You should walk back in and be like, you should go to Disney World and be like,
Disneyland.
All right, is Patrick Mahomes here? Like they just won the Super Bowl yesterday, right?
Like tap Mickey in the shoulder. Where's that Mahomes at? I know he is. No, yeah. That's the goal though. But yeah, for me, I'm not sure if it's the same for you, but I rank it as like tied for the best Super Bowl because the first one will always be the best just because it was like the first one. But there was something about like the tribulations of the year. It was defense. There you go. Technically 4. It is funny including that fourth one because it's like no one experienced it. Like really 1970, but technically it's part of our history, so we can't ignore it.
I mean, apparently Taylor Swift experienced it because she was smoking that cigarette when they redid the picture of her smoking the cigarette instead of Lynn Dawson.
Did she?
Yeah.
Is that a
That's pretty
Photoshop?
funny. Yeah.
I saw her slam down a beer. That was one of them. It's probably wine. But,
I think everybody did.
Yeah. That's crazy though. We're 3 Super Bowls in the past like 5 years.
Yeah, my son's undefeated since he's been born, so that's
weird.
my
gosh. He was the magic touch.
Yeah.
It's like it went from
if we win 3,
years.
I'll go there.
There we go.
And then the Kelces can kiss my baby because that's what they do. So
I'm not sure if like you send an email, like how does that even get started?
Yeah.
And so my son happened to be born when the Chiefs started being good. So will you come kiss my baby? But yeah, that's pretty much all there. There's tons of stuff about this now that's been, if anything, I'm moving on to like the free agency. It's kind of addicting when you win because now you just want to, like, because the Chiefs, it's like we could just get better. It's not like that's our apex and now all these guys are going away. It's like we have a bunch of young guys and we get like an awesome receiver in the draft and we're even better than we were last year. So I'm excited for that, and that's the Chiefs update.
All right, now that Clint has fangirled, we're gonna go ahead and talk NCAA top 25 and go find Mahomes, man. You need to.
Oh, I wish.
Well, UConn, Houston, Purdue, Arizona, Tennessee round out the top 5. Iowa State got a pretty big win against Kansas, and then I believe, or no, not a big win, but a big conference lead over Kansas because Kansas lost to Texas Tech, who is now in the top 25. But Kansas just keeps losing, but they don't lose any ground in the polls. I mean, I'd figured they'd be out of the top 10 by now, but they're sitting there at number 9. Then you got Marquette, you got Duke. I don't know. It's pretty solid. I mean, the teams this year are pretty hard to boot out because most of these teams are actually fairly good. The only one that I see that I would get rid of, Washington State, like 21.
Top 25, you mean?
Yeah, they're 21 in the top 25. I don't understand how they're in there. I get why Dayton and Creighton and Auburn and Alabama and Illinois, but I mean, Washington State doesn't I mean, give them their chance, I guess, but
who would you put instead of them?
Over Washington State, I'm still big for I mean, overall, I'd probably go Gonzaga right now because I want them in there. I think they deserve to be in at least the top 25 because they always finish decently whenever they do appear. And overall, though, I mean, Kansas State, I would like to see them at least at 25 and then knock Washington State out and then move everybody else up one spot that's down there. Because Kansas State, they play a tough conference, obviously, and they've held their ground for most part. And normally I'm not for Kansas State, but this year I feel like they've won enough games in the conference, especially against Kansas. So I don't know. And Kansas is still hanging in there. So if Kansas is hanging in there, why can't K-State be in the top 25? I know you got a lot of Big 12 teams, but anyone else?
I mean, I'm always for, obviously, Kansas State. But I agree because with Kansas State beating Kansas and Kansas being number 9 and Kansas State not even making it in the top 25.
Yeah.
Well, Oklahoma was there. They put Oklahoma in last week, and then they got ousted. Like,
yeah.
K-State over Oklahoma.
I feel like these rankings are fake.
I don't know. True. I guess K-State will have some proving to do once the field of 64 is released, but
it also feels like one of those things where it certainly matters less in basketball compared to football, where it's kind of like, as long as you're in the top 64, I mean, you're fine, whatever. But it also feels like one of those years. Now, I've been paying attention a little, but it kind of seems like one of these years where it's like UConn's to lose anyways. No matter what happens, they just seem so dominant right now. Because Marquette was looking good, and they just swamped Marquette like they were a D2 team. So, but we'll see. I think it's nice to So Jensen, you're K-State over Kansas. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, that's what my parents played, so I didn't really have a choice.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then. Okay. I don't know if you live closer to Manhattan than Lawrence.
I mean, yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. There you
Yeah.
go. Because I just looked up Mizzou and they're terrible, so that makes sense why they're not in.
Yeah, they're bad this year.
Maybe Mizzou. Yeah, no.
They lost.
They're good at football.
They lost Kobe Brown and then a couple of seniors, and it's gone downhill this year.
Okay.
But yeah, all right, we'll stick in the NCAA and continue with basketball, and we'll talk the 8 players getting suspended for the Texas A&M Commerce and Incarnate brawl that happened. And the brawl broke out in the handshake line. It lasted more than a minute, and players and coaches attempted to step in. Still unclear what sparked the fight. 4 players from each team were suspended for the flagrant, unsportsmanlike actions. Happened after the game, so nothing was applied to the game. And, I mean, it's crazy, but my question is, do you think they should get rid of the handshake line in sports altogether, or do you think they should keep it? Jensen, let's go you first. I mean, you've been a part of probably quite a bit. Did you ever have a moment where you wanted to fight?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like that.
So do you think it's necessary
to take it out?
To have the line, you mean?
I mean, I feel like the people who don't play sports would be upset by them taking it out. But I feel like the people that play sports would be understanding of why they took it out. So
unless you're
I feel
Caitlin Clark.
it's just the politics type of situation. I mean, take it or leave it. I think always you can like have the last word in the line. Words are always exchanged in the handshake line, always. So I guarantee that's what happened. So, but that's like normal. I
You
just feel like
Ninny Muggins.
no.
What'd you just say?
Everybody talks trash in the end, so.
And not like playful trash, but like actual.
No, like actual trash.
Yeah, I know. But it's it does feel like it's like, I always felt like it was a little elementary. Like it made sense in elementary school and stuff, because like you need to learn not to like take this home with you and like high five. But like once you're in college and it's like you're like not sure what it means to like now you have to go give him a high five. That other
good job, Billy. Shut up, Andrew.
Yeah. Like most of the time, these guys are kind of like conversing with each other, anyways, and it might kind of make sense that it's like especially if it's a fraught game that ended in overtime, like it might not be the best idea to like let's put you guys right next to each other in a line where you're frustrated and you're just sitting like you might as well just like get it back to the locker room, whatever it might be. Because I always thought it was a little like elementary that like a bunch of 21-year-olds are like good game. It's like you don't mean it, you're just doing it because that's like
the best one is when you're coaching Little League and little Johnny's over there picking his nose and then itches his butthole and then goes up, good game, man, and high fives him. Game. It's like,
oh yeah,
okay, yeah,
yep.
See ya. It's like I'm not touching your hand.
Post Corona, they should have made it like shoulder bumps or something. Good game.
Why would you do that? Then you would cough on each other.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. If they were going to take it out, they should have done it during COVID.
That'd have been perfect timing. Yeah, like make it seem like it's just for that, and then actually,
right?
Like,
nobody could complain. The people that don't sports,
Because I don't see any like even like in a political notion, I don't see any like hard nosed person like fan that's like, no, that's tradition. You have to high five each other and say good game. I feel like both sides are kind of like, we don't really like this. No one watching the game cares about this. And, is it like a mandatory like NCAA thing? I'm guessing it is, but
sometimes I don't know about Division II. I know Division I, they like escort you to that line. They walk you, and then if you're like a high profile player, they walk you out.
Like, what is that? Like, you're just saying good game. You're not even. It's so weird. No, I'm out. I'm out on it.
Well, now it could result in NIL offers like, hey, I'm going to come to you now.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, you're right.
Play for us next year?
Yeah. especially if it's always just. I just feel like I'm a pretty gentle guy, and I'm at my worst after a game. Like I'm just not going to be the. And so if I was right next to a person, I'm probably going to be passive aggressive, and I'd just rather not be. If I wanted to go talk to somebody nicely, I could just do that on my own. I don't need to be like in a line saying "good game," high fiving them. But that's just me. So if they got rid of it because of this moment where a brawl happened, then
our intramural games were pretty intense.
Exactly, and we even did. I felt silly doing it during intramural. Like if we had to do good game for a bunch of college guys doing good games.
We just walked off the court and we're like, team 1 out.
we have like a mother that has like ice pops in her cooler for all the teammates. Like yes, like, you might as well. That's what the good game feels like.
Dang it, we should have asked Steven's mom.
Oh, she'd have been perfect.
She would have been great.
We all go a little Kool-Aid. T-ball is a goodness. But yeah, I think that's the easy way out. Is it to the point where I almost forgot, because I think I just assumed that they're just kind of high-fiving each other. I'm not even thinking that they're doing the in a line thing.
Yeah.
That there's not like I can't see any like traditionalists who are like, that's not my sport. Like they probably would just be like, yeah, it's fine.
Very
and
much.
hopefully this will be what provokes it.
Did you hear what Daddy said yesterday? Shut up, man. Going back to elementary ways there.
Oh, I see. I got you.
But
that was
next
a college
up,
guy, dude.
yeah. Next up, we'll continue in NCAA, and we'll switch over to football. Lots going on in the NCAA world right now. NIL's off season for football, meetings beginning, a lot going on there, and then basketball. Obviously, March Madness is getting ready to heat up and getting ready to switch into the baseball season. So, I mean, there's quite a bit going on there. But anyway, former coach Saban, this came out Wednesday. He's retired, but not retired from doing his part in helping reform some uncommon sense in the college football and lingering chaos surrounding the sport, is what they said. And he also says, if my voice can bring about some meaningful change, I want to help in any way I can because I love the players and I love college football. He said that to ESPN. And then what we have now is not college football as we know it. I mean, you hear somebody use the word student athlete and it doesn't exist anymore. And he retired in January after winning his sixth national championship, or winning 6 national championships in 17 seasons in Alabama. They got kicked out of the playoff. And yeah, I mean, he occupies an office at the south end zone of the Bryant-Denny Stadium. He's an advisor to the university now, and he'll serve as the college football and NFL draft analyst for ESPN this year. But he also had this to say while still coaching at Alabama. He said he understood that any critique he made of the current NIL climate combined with the transfer portal, and in particular, the lack of rules on agents shopping around for players in the portal and schools bidding on high school players through donor-based collectives. I mean, he could come across as a self-serving person, but now he's no longer coaching and he plans to take an even stronger stance. Basically, he went on to say most of the players don't even see a good chunk of the money and it won't help them prepare for life after football. And Tony touched on this a couple weeks back after everything had happened with him. And I mean, it's crazy because you got these guys out there thinking that they're going to go get this money. And then a lot of them don't end up getting it. Women's sports, men's sports, everywhere there in the NCAA. And people thought it would be a great idea. And I mean, I think the only cool thing we're getting out of it is NCAA football's coming back out on PlayStation and stuff, and NCAA basketball. But I don't know. I kind of agree with him, but I want to see more of the statistics now that it's been around a couple years, because I do feel the transfer portals hurt a little bit because people are just, oh, well, now I can leave and go wherever I want each year. And if I don't like what a boss is telling me or I don't get playing time, then I get to whine about it and head out. So I don't know. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I just think, I mean, in terms of like so he's specifically complaining about like the NIL money, like them receiving. because I certainly don't see a problem with that. And I think the problem is like with the wrong donors, it can go the wrong way. But I feel like in general, these are still people that are like, just like everyone knows who Caleb Williams is.
Yeah.
Just as he's just, probably more high profile than Mitch Trubisky is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
some of these NFL players that get paid. So it's like, there definitely is what you're bringing to the school money ratio that I feel like was always missing. And then the transfer portal, yeah, it kind of reminds me of like how the NBA is going, and the NFL a little bit, where there is a lot of like, if I don't get exactly what I want, then I'm going to be I'm going to be able to control it.
Yeah.
Which is nice to an extent, where it's like, we're finally kind of taking down some of the corporate stuff that made people not be able to do what they want to do. But now it's become a thing where it's like, to hurt the team you're on, you just want to be the star, and then you go to other places, and that kind of where it hurts for that kind of thing. But so I can see him complaining about that. But I also I'm expecting Saban to kind of be on, old man chance at clouds zone now that he's out of it. He probably is like, here's what I've always hated about this stuff that the youngins are doing while I'm trying to do my thing. So, but he probably has a little bit of a point with this. Though.
True. And on that, we'll go ahead and continue in NCAA football. And last one here. Lots going on this week, as I mentioned, but now they're talking about the idea of a 14-team college football playoff starting in the 2026 season. Was discussed at the college football playoff meetings in Dallas this past Wednesday, months before the start of the season, with a 12-team playoff set to begin this year. College football playoff executive director Bill Hancock acknowledged the idea was discussed, but declined to provide specific details, saying there's still work to be done. And with college football playoff officials pushing to finalize a deal to consummate a television contract for the next 8 years, and they have 3 lingering issues remaining unresolved, and that is access to those games, distribution of the money, and governance over those games. And Hancock said the issues need to be resolved within the next month. And I mean, that's kind of a tight time frame there, but College Football Playoff Management Committee, which is made up of the commissioners, incoming Notre Dame, athletic director Pete Vakovac, and then they met on Wednesday and discussed a potential expanding of the field after the current contract runs out following the 2025 season. And sounds like a lot, but what are your all's thoughts here? Do you think they should? Obviously, we're going to see the 14-team playoff or 12-team. Should it be expanded? I mean, I know they want more teams, but if we do expand, what do we want to see?
What do you think?
I mean, I have no preference, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
she just wants Louisville to be in there.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing though. I was like, I'm not sure how much of this except for like going back to the rankings not mattering, with every year now it's like, which did feel specific to college football. Hey, we got a 4th person. but yeah, I feel like, I'm guessing if 14, does that mean it's 2 buys, and then there would be other 7 people?
I think so. Top 2 teams get a bye. Top 4 teams, something like that.
Yeah, probably top 4 or something. Yeah, I'm guessing it's for bowl reasons, since the reason. But in general, I'm definitely fine with the playoff scenario. In general, I'm more curious about. I mean, kind of unrelated, but it's kind of similar to the NFL playoff thing, where it's like, if they do go to 8 teams, I'm not sure how they'll do the setup because the buys don't match with everything. But
yeah,
anyways, I probably feel the same way with college too.
I found it interesting on the funding front. Like, how would you not find anybody who wants to fund it?
Yeah, let's call it like the Bic Pins, semifinal bowl, Dole Bananas bowl. Yeah, you can find something for it.
Dolio. Yeah, I mean, it can't be any worse than the Orange Bowl. And then, no, actually, was it last year? Yeah, last year. The Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yeah, Pop-Tart Bowl, yeah. No, that's going to be a new thing now.
You're going to kill the Pop. Oh, everybody's eating the Pop-Tart. He died.
Yeah. And then what was it? Cheese It tried to like quickly copy it, and it's like kind of a fail.
Cheese it
But
or
yeah,
bees it.
Tony's here.
Any thoughts on the expansion of the playoff there? They want to go from the 12-team playoffs here in the next few years, and then they want to make it 14, maybe more, but they're trying to find people who would sponsor it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always going to more playoff games, better for college football.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going to have. I don't think they're going to struggle finding people that want to dump their money into it, right? So yeah, I'm cool with it.
Ridgeline Roofing,
That's right.
they'll dump
Yeah,
money into it.
That'd be awesome,
Yeah,
actually.
sure. The
There'd have
Ridgeline
to
Roofing
be-
and Solar Bowl.
Yeah, it would have to be a like roofed arena, like that's the only way that would work.
Yeah,
That'd be interesting.
Like this stadium could be better roofed with roof lining, but
Put it in the new Disney World for the Midwest, and then bring that as the attraction.
yeah, like, is there anybody that I'm guessing older heads that don't want it to change at all? So it seems like everybody's kind of in. Maybe 14 is too much, but I feel like 12 just kind of like makes sense. It's just kind of like, who knows? Maybe Cincinnati one year or some smaller team can win a championship, because it's just so unfair with the way it's set up now that I just feel like there's people who are very traditionalists of like, I grew up with Alabama's number one. They get to, I feel like most people like the idea of like a smaller playoff that makes it kind of worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely.
What makes you think it's unfair now?
I just feel like the top teams it's just the same 6 top teams end up getting in there. You know what I mean? And it also makes it unfair. There's even if it's like, you know what, who cares? Alabama, Georgia are always going to be at the top. So what? But I feel like there's no incentive to like get better. Like if you lose 2 games in the beginning, then it's just, that's it. You lost 2 games, and there's no getting better. You already did your thing. And I feel like that aspect of college football was always kind of wrong. That it's just like, you have to be perfect, and you lost to Texas. Okay, now you're, it's just an odd way to. That's not how any other sport works.
Yeah.
Or to sport, if they do it like that, like like soccer in other countries, there's way more games that can actually, if you're playing 100 games, you can decide after a while that you're the best. This is like 11 games with a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds.
Yeah,
it's like 3 games in. So I feel like that's the only main reason why. But we'll see what they do.
Yeah, no, that is a little frustrating for sure. Because I do want some of these smaller schools to kind of perform better. But I think with having a bigger playoffs, I mean, there's an opportunity that Bama can. Bama always loses a game in the regular season somewhere. I mean, within the last few years, right? Like, so if there is a Bama caliber team, them being in the playoffs, I think it would potentially eliminate them a little bit sooner if there was 3 or 4 rounds into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
But again, it's like with March Madness, anything can happen, right? Like that's why it's like super hard to predict because the bracket's so big. But the thing is, football is a little bit tougher on the body, so
yeah.
And I'm sure that's the kind of like that's probably the one defense of like the old system, is that they're like they don't like the idea of like they worked hard this whole season. We have this good program, and then on one game they have a couple bad fumbles in the playoffs, and now they're out of it. But I feel like that could happen anyways in the championship or whatever it may be. So it's kind of a
right. But I think that's what makes it interesting. It's kind of like I've brought it up before.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the combat sport analogy that I talk about. That this guy may be getting his ass whooped the whole time, and all of a sudden in the 8th, 9th round he comes back, he lands one good one, and he comes back and he wins. So like that makes it interesting. I like that, and I think the XFL rules and the USFL rules from last year. Being integrated, being brought over to college, would probably be the next step, I would say.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And then they can bring it into the NFL. The NFL is still kind of, weary about it. I don't know.
They're trying to figure things out themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you guys already talk about the Super Bowl?
We did.
Oh yeah.
Y'all talked about Kelce's tantrum.
We didn't.
No, we didn't. It's had enough of its. I mean, unless the tantrum was not liking the monkeys at the Australian Zoo, which we talked about him being at the zoo, but that's about it.
Yeah, his climate activist girlfriend that flies everywhere on a jet. Yeah. Interesting.
Okay.
Did you see that she flew literally from like St. Louis to Chesterfield? Like that's a 30-minute drive. It was a 15-minute plane ride from the point you got onto the plane and she got off of it. Like,
what was in Chester? What was in Chesterfield?
Like probably her hotel. No, Chesterfield. So that's in St. Louis.
Oh, I see.
It was like she was like in the middle of St. Louis. She flew.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah. Like every destination is like there's a whole setup. Like we don't want to risk. We don't want to risk driving. We're gonna fly there.
I'm glad she's a climate activist, though. Good for her.
What about that UFC fight?
Oh well, there was So Alexander Volkanovski.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. But I wasn't done about Travis Kelce.
He said that's cool.
No, I'll talk on it on the UFC fight here in a bit, but I wasn't done. I mean, I don't know why people defended him so much. His own brother, was holding him accountable for it. I just wanted to touch on that. I think that not doing so, I played for Coach Rod, and I couldn't imagine ever doing that to my own coach. Where I'm that upset that I'm going to go up to him and push him and yell at him and like, hey, put me in. Like there was plenty of times when I was playing that I felt that I should have been out on the field. But again, that's not my job, to tell the coach that, if he's not in there, it's for a reason. Like man, you were really unreliable all year. I'm glad you showed up in the playoffs, but they're not putting you in. It's for a reason. They have a game plan they're trying to stick to. I'm not going to go there.
I think he explained on the podcast, and Jason talked about this too, where it was like he regrets the way it looked and how he came across, but he also he was like a Hall of Famer who has a very nuanced relationship with this guy that he's been a coach with for 12 years, as opposed to like a linebacker in a high school team that's trying to. So I think his aspect was like he didn't fully mean to like I'm gonna ram into this guy and knock him over. He just has this attitude where they're always like. Andy Reid does the same thing. I watched tons of training camp vids where they're like, he gets in their face and it's how they bump each other up, and he'll like, throw a ball at them, they'll throw it back. And I think it's just part of their relationship that kind of like, we just saw it as if Sky Moore did that to Andy Reid, and it was kind of like, whoa, we've never seen anything like this, and he did that. I think they've proven that they have like this brother relationship that, as Jason said, he regrets like fully yelling for something. I think it was more so just anger was coming out as opposed to like, Andy, you did this wrong. It was more just like he just letting out frustration because they fumbled the ball and that kind of thing.
And I get that. I think it's a tough sport.
Yeah,
I get that. I don't think the way he handled it was right. And I'm glad. And I will say this, I'm glad that he took responsibility. He apologized, and they're past it. And I'm glad that they have a good relationship. But again, I don't agree with how it was handled. And especially not from the fans that, they were like, oh, he's just passionate. Bro, shut up. Y'all didn't even play. And you're saying he's passionate. No, that's called being undisciplined. I don't care what it is. He apologized, cool. You know what I mean? But like at the end of the day, it's undisciplined. And I'm not for it. I'm just not.
Yeah. I think it's like, it looks worse for him because, especially the spotlight he's in now. But I do think there was like, both, for one thing, I just would hate it in general. Like any player who would do that, I would not like. But I stand by the relationship being that like, and Andy talked about this where it's like, this wasn't just he got fed up and got mad at me and it came out of nowhere. It's like they always have this relationship, and sometimes it doesn't get caught on camera or there's always happening in the locker room. But they have like the same way you talk to like your brother kind of thing, where it's not like, oh my God, he disrespected me and now it's like he's a Hall of Famer who might retire in a couple of years. But I think he admitted though, he was like, I'm not going to go into every game and it's like, all right, here in a couple minutes, I'm going to ram into my coach and yell at him. It's like, that was just like an outburst because it's the Super Bowl and they just fumbled it. And it was like, and he felt bad, of course, because like, he doesn't want any kids to be watching that and being like, that's what you do when you get angry. You just yell bloody murder in their face. but it was just kind of unfortunate because they have a very nuanced relationship that happened to be shown on a grand scale with Tony Romo talking about it. Now it seems like it's a big issue, and then there are going to be Chiefs defenders who are just like, I got to find a way to defend this. When in reality, it's probably just somewhere in between.
No, and I get that. I think because we're so, I think we have to be critical, of these players. I think, if they aren't being exemplary, men, athletes, fathers, sons, at the end of the day, you got to set that example. I'm not saying that, we don't mess up. I mess up every day. I try not to, but I get it. It is a little bit different. They're adults. Like you said, it's not high school. Not high school ball anymore. And it's not even college ball either. So at the end of the day, I'm glad that they got past it. I think we hold every other athlete accountable whenever he does that. When Tom Brady does that, I'm gonna be straight up. He's being a crybaby. I don't like it. I didn't like it when Tom Brady did it. I don't like it when Travis Kelce does it. I don't like it when Odell Beckham Jr. does it. I think they need to be held accountable for being divas, like straight up.
Yeah, I think he was. I think that to the fact that people are still talking about it, whereas most of these guys would be done 2 days in, and we're like 3 weeks in, and people are still talking about it. I feel like he's definitely gotten his due of people. There might be a couple Twitter people defending it, but I feel like way more than usual. It's like he had a little outburst with a nuanced, thing he has with his coach, and now we're 3 weeks in, and still people like having debates about it. And I feel like that's like way more I think that's like ultra accountable. I feel like we should be way beyond it. But anyways, I feel like he regrets it and he moved on. But I think he was hesitant to say like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. No, I'm wrong about everything. Because I think he did admit that it's like, it also is just a thing I have with my coach where it's like, I didn't mean to literally ram into him. I kind of just bumped him, but I was just kind of yelling of aggression there. And my coach is used to that. But I also have to remember too, that like the kind of unrelated, but like the medicines they're pumped with for NFL, it's just so crazy. Not like steroids, but like for these games, they just have so much like the most professional, like here's the right juices, here's the right, take this kind of protein, take this, and they are just like amped up, and their chemicals in their body just make everything worse. For even the most like humble or straight mind people can just kind of like just don't know what to do with themselves. And so I try to take that in consideration too with the NFL, that they have like every kind of medicine just pumping through their veins. And they're like they're meant to be gladiators that are like killing each other on the sport. So it's tough to be like, why did you yell like that? That was a no.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like you said, they're humans at the end of the day, so I just got to give my 2 cents. I haven't been on the show since the Super Bowl, so that's the only I had to give my 2 cents about it. I don't know shit. I only played football forever, so but at the end of the day, that's why I brought it up.
I will say thank God for him that they won, because I feel like he would have felt ultra bad if it was like they would probably be talked about for 3 months about like, remember when Kelce lost his mind and he actually kind of sucked. He sucked the whole time actually, and it's like, oh boy, here we go. So for his sake, he's probably so happy they won for multiple reasons.
Right. Yeah. Now off that topic, the UFC fights were this last weekend. Alexander Volkanovski fought against I don't know the guy's first name, but last name is Topuria.
Yeah.
Got knocked out. Alexander Volkanovski is like 35 or 36 or something. Up before the fight last Friday, he was considered one of the pound for pound best. He was like number 1 or number 2 on most people's list. But he got caught. The other guy's really good. He has a good jiu-jitsu background, but he got knocked out. But championship fights, there's a stat out there that every fighter past the age of 35 in championship fights they're 1 in 22. So they've only won 1 fight in championship level fights out of 23 fights.
So that baffled me.
Yeah. So that's about the age that, a champion, when you act, those sports are, just a little bit tougher on your brain. You get that chin, it's not going to be as durable no more. And obviously unfortunate that he got knocked out, but he seems to be in good spirits, and I still want to see him fight, but it is unfortunate. But it was a good fight.
Unless you're Rocky Balboa.
They can run it back. Yeah, exactly. And there's still a lot of fighters out there, especially in boxing. There's a lot of older fighters that are still fighting and really feel really good still. So this is not the end for him. That's just one of the fights that happened this last weekend.
Man, speaking of fights, we got quite a few getting ready to come up that we gotta go see.
Yeah, Crouch.
Crouch has got one. Haven's got one. Brian get one yet?
I have no idea, man.
No idea?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think.
I'm excited.
No,
I'm ready for that to start up again.
Yeah. But yeah, Crouch is fighting in Springfield.
Yeah.
He's got like at a men's conference of some sort. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's gonna be a bunch of people. It's like I think like James River is the one that's putting it on.
Yeah. Fight for Jesus. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear that. That's an interesting location, but that's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah. I want to go, but tickets are like $150 a person or whatever. But that's like a whole weekend thing. So I mean, it's really not bad.
Yeah.
But it's like a 3-day event. But it's a men's conference of some sort.
Get some press passes there again.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
On that note, we'll go ahead and head into the local sports update, brought to you by Trackside Burgers. They are open at 1515 West 10th Street. Go get one of Chef Mike's specialties this weekend. They're definitely worth it. And, well, on the basketball side, districts have begun. So tune in to each team's social media pages for times and dates for districts. There's been a few that have changed within the last few hours just on times. So that's why I didn't update anything there on where they'll be. So just pay attention to their pages for that. And also, we now have a special interview with Carthage girls swimming senior Aubree Santillan. Take a look. We bring in Carthage girls senior swimmer Aubree Santillan. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Man, as we were just talking there, I'm ready for the weekend. It's been a long week this week as an educator. So has it been a long week as a student?
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
It has.
Definitely. And full moon. Never know what you're going to get there either. So, but all right. Well, we'll go ahead and highlight your career at Carthage. And as a freshman, you competed in Class 1 and finished 16th overall. Then as a sophomore, you finished 32nd as you jumped up to Class 2 as well. And then another jump you took as a junior, you moved into 21st place. And then this year as a senior, you finished 14th in Class 2. It's pretty awesome. Leads to my first question. That is, how have your experiences through each year of high school competitions helped you to approach how you competed this year as a senior?
Yeah, so every season has came with different accomplishments and challenges. And going into this season, I just took back, like I'm taking from the past seasons, and I'm using it to better myself and create new goals for myself just to end in my high school career off good.
It's good. It's good. And you've been swimming competitively since you were 6, but before that you had a heart defect and had to have surgery at 8 months old. What has that injury been like for you to overcome, and has it affected you in swimming at all to this point?
Yeah, so I actually was blessed with a great surgical team and doctor. My surgery was amazing, and so actually my entire swimming career, I've never had a problem with my heart and swimming, so it's pretty nice.
That is nice. That's awesome. Good to hear everything's going well there for sure. And now we talked some of the challenges, but what's been some of the most rewarding moments of your high school career?
Yeah, there's definitely been many. One being breaking the backstroke record as for my school as a freshman, and then again my junior and senior year. Another, I had a pretty rough sophomore year. I had a lot going on. So just the following years, I overcame that. And besides like swimming, I would say the friendships and the relationships I make with my teammates and my coaches is definitely rewarding as well.
Awesome. And you mentioned some of those teammates and coaches there. What's been the biggest influence, or who's been the biggest influence, and why would you say that?
like my team or for like just anybody? And
Oh, let's go anybody there.
I would say my mom. My mom's been there for me throughout a lot. She's there for me if I'm nervous or upset, or she's just there for me. She's there for me when I rant to her. I rant to her a lot. She may not be listening, but that's okay. She would do anything for my brothers and I, and she's just an amazing woman, and I aspire to be half the woman that she is.
Awesome. It's always good to go after the parents there, no doubt about that.
Mhm.
And now we talk plans for the future. Do you plan on extending your swimming career into the next level, or do you have another path plan?
I did think about it for a while, but I decided what's best for me is continuing my schooling. I do plan to major in either biochem or biology, and then following graduation, go into med school. So I have a lot of school ahead of me, so I just thought I should probably focus more on that. So,
Absolutely. And medical field, we talk about heart surgery and everything there. Is that the path you want to take, or are you going to go a different route?
I do want to become a surgeon, so my past
Awesome.
also has influenced that. Um, I don't know exactly what type of surgeon, but I definitely have thought about cardio to give
Okay.
back to. So
That's awesome. That's a great plan to have, and giving back as you were given too. So that's great.
yeah.
And well, lastly, as you reflect on your last 4 years there at Carthage, what advice would you give to your younger athletes who may face personal challenges, kind of like what you did while pursuing their passion for a sport they really like?
I would definitely say don't give up and like never say never. There will be bumps in the road, and those are just minor inconveniences, and just keep your head held high, and you'll get through it.
It's awesome. Well said. Well said. And well, we appreciate your time. And yeah,
Thank you.
have a good rest of the school year. And congratulations on everything you've done during swimming.
Thank
I'm
you.
I'm kind of sad we just caught on to this year. I've been doing it as long
Yeah.
as you've been in high school, so
Mhm.
that's awesome to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Awesome for her. Congratulations on all her accomplishments. We wish her well in her future. And now we'll go ahead and head into the 2-minute warning brought to you by Hot Stone Pizzeria. Not feeling like cooking this weekend? Go grab some pizza by the slice over there. Only Wednesday through Saturday. And MSSU women grabbed a crucial win in the MIAA yesterday. They return to action tomorrow at Fort Hays State. Tip is set for 2 p.m., and then they will return home for the final 2 games at MSSU starting on Wednesday, and that game will be against Washburn. The men will follow that schedule as well, and they will play after also. And then MSSU baseball, they are home this weekend. Go check them out today, tomorrow, and Sunday, and should be a fun series. I believe today's is at 3, tomorrow is at noon, and Sunday's at noon as well. And then kind of have some bittersweet news here from Missouri Southern, as a legend has passed away there this week, and that is Harry. You all may know him if you ever played sports there, but Harry, I believe, Griniger, right? Was his last name? Somewhere around. Hey, he just always went by Harry. But got any stories there, Jensen? Do you have any good memories of that?
Oh yeah, there's lots of good memories with him. Just he would always trash talk us as well. So I don't know, you could just always count on him being in the stands, and he would always I remember one of my teammates, he took credit for why she signed. So he always felt like he was the other assistant coach. So I don't know. He just is a special part of the school and a special part of every team. So
Tony, did you know him?
I didn't have the pleasure of meeting him.
Great guy. Loved being around him. Always pumped up the energy. Baseball. He was at football games. He did a lot of basketball games. I think he even hit the road for most of the basketball games, because baseball just goes everywhere. But basketball, I mean, he was almost there all the time. And then I believe softball, he attended as many as he could there as well. But yeah, mainly for basketball, men's and women's there. But he'll be missed, and it was an honor to get to know him. He was a great guy on and out of the building. So yeah, but prayers go out to his family for sure, and just he'll be missed. He'll be missed.
Absolutely. And also, I'm sure you guys already talked about it, but parade, prayers goes out to them as well. That's stuff for the Kansas City Chiefs community, and obviously nobody wants that.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Very unfortunate. But I'm glad that they got caught, and hopefully they get the full extent of the law. But this justice system is something else sometimes.
Yeah. Fortunate and unfortunate in a lot of cases, but you never know. So, but music's here, so is the end of another episode. Tony, Jensen, Clinton, myself, have a great and safe weekend. Make sure you go get some Ghetto tacos before your game this weekend. Friday is 10% off of burritos. Can't get in tonight. Make sure you go grab a breakfast burrito tomorrow or over the next week, because they look great and they taste pretty good too. So, but on that, we'll see you next week on the Sports Timeout.